Okay, Keith here from Beat the Casino, just back from the situational Baccarat seminar in Las Vegas, and had a couple questions I thought we'd address. One of them had to do with long-term odds player and the perceived bias that we see in individual shoes in Baccarat games. So I thought I'd address that. You know, most players who spend real time playing at the Baccarat tables notice the same thing. A clear impression forms. A surprising number of shoes simply refuse to behave the way pure randomness predicts. I guess this is the very allure of Baccarat. A lot of what players feel this or see it. However, they count on it a little too much. They think it happens all the time, but more about that later. Let's just talk about why maybe it would occur. I mean, we expect to see banker and player disparities, streak lengths, opposites and repeats stay relatively close to their long-term averages. Instead, we see banker runs that stretch longer than expected, player runs that cluster, opposite repeat counts that become heavily lopsided one side or the other, streak patterns that deviate sharply from mixed, long one-in-a-row zigzags, attached multiples, longer runs, and of course, not to mention Kevin's favorite, the unbelievable length of some of the patterns that occur with very consistent results on the derived roads. If these departures occur with the frequency that experienced players report, they cannot be simply anecdotal. And we have players from all over the world, from all walks of life. But any systematic bias that appears often enough to be noticed by hundreds of players, even your average player says it, by definition, of course, it should be quantifiable by standard statistical methods of comparison against the exact mathematical expectations. Provide the tools, the tracking methods to test whether the observed patterns exceed what a fair or near fair shuffle should produce. The fact that the same game signatures appear across independent shoes and observed by independent players day after day, week after week, night after night is precisely what a trained statistician would treat as evidence warranting measurement rather than dismissal, as is always stated the case with long-term odds players. We call them L-tops. As you know, in Baccarat, let's talk about the rules and see if we can see where some of this bias comes from. And perhaps it will explain a lot of things. But as you know, the rules are not symmetrical in Baccarat. Player follows a simple fixed instruction for the most part, 0 through 5, and unless a natural and banker, they take a hit card. On 6 and 7, player stands. Banker, however, reacts to whatever the third card player receives. And that single difference, is the source of that long-term edge that everyone talks about. Banker wins about 45.8% of the hands and player 44.62. The difference is, of course, is ties. The gap is 1.25, or roughly 1.25 extra banker hand wins every 100 hands, or about 1 a shoe. Yet the average final score tells a slightly different story. Players' mean average, that's the average where you take all the scores, add them up, and divide them by the number of sample sizes. It sits about, the average score of a player's hand is 5.12. Oddly, the average score of the banker's hand is 5.11. This is the quiet irony. Kind of a higher mean score rather, just doesn't translate into more wins in this situation. Even more ironic is the game over the long term finishes on the player side. Player gets more 6s, more 7s, more 8s, and more 9s than banker. If I were to tell you that the mean average score of a football team A was 28 points per game and the average score of a football team B was 24 points per game, who would you bet on to win the games? Probably A. That isn't what happens in Baccarat. Think of that. Player has a higher average score and more most common higher scores, yet still loses to hands won ratio. So how does banker win more hands? Well, the answer lies in the mid to low totals. Banker converts final totals of 4 and 5 into 4 or more wins, or rather 2 card totals into 4 or 5. More often than player does. A banker also gains a measurable edge on 3 because of the hit rule that forces banker to stand when the player's third card is 8. Even that rule to hit a card banker 6, a 2-card banker 6, when the player's 3rd card is a 6, implemented because drawing improves the expected win rate in that specific situation. Totals that start with 0, 1, 2, pretty much a toss up there. Pretty much the same for both sides. You're playing a game of war at that point. In short, though, player is stronger on the high side totals and holds a tiny mean average score. Yet the banker wins more hands on the 3s, 4s, and 5s, and that skews it the other way. But think about this. The player on 2 measures of center wins more hands, or has a higher percentage win rate on those, yet banker wins more hand. Doesn't that tell you about the inherent bias in Baccarat and how crazy it can become? Although the average is only an extra banker win per shoe, that same rule structure produces clusters and statistical imbalances inside individual shoes. That's what we look at. Shoes more often than a coin flip process would, like large leads, low 1-in-a-rows, excessive 1-in-a-rows, streaks, and lopsided chops. Players report this all the time. You can go look at a stadium Baccarat game or watch a Baccarat game and see this every night. Stuff happens, you'll see a 10 in a row in 10 minutes. Versus repeat counts that appear frequently enough that experienced players see them. You know, any sort of repeat counts that are out of whack. I call that suspicion of bias. It's obviously just a suspicion, but let's take a look at it in practical terms, as we often try to do, and see what that looks like. Well, in 72 hands, if you get to plus or minus 16 on either side of banker or player, that's unusual, but if you see that, that's probably a biased game. That's suspicion of bias. Plus or minus 20 is really rare about hand 65. Plus 24 is super rare. But if you see that, that might be a good game to get into. It's probably a strong side banker, and bet banker out. Or if it's on the player side, bet player. But let's break it down to 40 hands. It's probably a little bit better there. You can navigate a little bit more. You're looking for plus or minus 12 is unusual. On pretty much any statistic, plus or minus 15 is rare. Plus or minus 18 is really rare. Beyond the banker disparity, though, or the player disparity, we also watch what we call the texture of the shoe. Opposite versus repeat balance. Roughly half of the transitions should be opposite and half should be repeat. If there's a big disparity, that's something to take note of. Confirmed 2-in-a-rows, a double followed by an opposite. Expect about 8 in a full shoe, 4 to 5, maybe at about hand 40. 3-in-a-rows, expect about 4 in a full shoe, or about 2 halfway. 4 or more streaks, only 1 or 2 should appear in a full shoe. Multiple long runs, especially all on one side, stand out sharply, don't they? This is our strong side, probably. Look for that and look for some other things that may indicate that bias is a little bit stronger. When several of these signatures appear together, the shoe is displaying the kind of structural or temporary bias that disparity tracking is designed to detect. Look, we fully understand the law of large numbers. The long-term frequencies that govern Baccarat, those frequencies are not in dispute. What we examine more closely is the behavior of individual shoes. A shoe is treated as its own finite system, rather than one data point in an infinite series. In one shoe, do you see everything balanced? Of course not. It could be random chance, but it could be a bias too. That's what we're looking for. Inside that limited system, we look for measurable statistical disparity, streaks, opposites versus repeat ratios, and related signatures that exceed ordinary random variation. And don't forget, the hit rules skew it automatically, even if the cards are shuffled to a random condition. Some observers assume that such disparities appear too often and therefore dismiss the entire approach. They just call it, well, that's just randomness. That assumption in and of itself is a mistake. That everything is random, it may not be random cards in most cases. With some exception, that's even better, by the way. If it's not in a random situation, that's even better, because then it becomes even more predictable. But the hit rules are not random. Their nature is skewed. You have to understand that. The mean average and the most mode average, i.e. the most common score, two standard measures of statistical center, created a bias skewed in a positive direction to player, but it yields a negative results for hands-won ratio. That should tell you something about Baccarat right there, okay? Disparity does not appear in every shoe. Sometimes we don't know what's going on and we get argues about this. Well, it's going to even out, but we're not going to bet every hand. In its absence, we simply don't play. When the bias signatures are present, there's a real segment of that shoe, and in a lot of cases, a disciplined response to them can produce a short-term advantage. Critics who can confine the discussion solely to long-term odds overlook this very, very important distinction. We monitor shoe after shoe, enter only when a clear suspicion of bias is observed, and stop the moment the signal disappears, waiting for the next suspicion of bias rather than forcing playing into randomness where we don't have any idea what's going on. If you're a strict long-term odds believer, you're in excellent company though, and your position is mathematically sound. Yet, if that's the only complete view that you think of, a fair question would be as follows. Why do you attend the seminars? Why do you watch the material? Only to argue or save players from a club, we are a club, who promote disinformation? Or is it possible that you also see the same short-term patterns the rest of us observe, but have not yet found a consistent method to identify and act on that bias when it appears, or how to even identify the bias? You know, there's an old Zen teaching, and I'm sure everyone has heard of it. Most of you, I'm pretty sure. You know, a student once came to the master seeking wisdom, right? And the master started pouring tea into the student's cup and kept pouring. After it was full, it was overflowing, and the student, protested that no more would go in. The master replied, "You're like this cup. You're full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you anything new unless you're first empty your cup a little bit?" The same principle for anyone who approaches the material, certain that long-term frequencies are the only truth worth considering, and any other view is foolish. The cup is empty at least enough to examine what others have seen. Statisticians and very intelligent people appear inside an individual shoe. Nothing can be further learned if you don't just clear your mind a little bit. I often get told that casinos sort the cards so that specific patterns appear. I'm pretty sure they don't do that. They don't have to. I'll tell you this, they don't like it if you use our app in the casino. We've had them stop some people using it. We had some people stopped and taking their comp cards and everything if they're using our app. Look, they give you booze in the casino. They raise the stakes. Why? To increase variance. That's pretty much how they beat everybody. They get you to overbet. They do everything they can to get you to do that. We're a bunch of players who try to get you to think at a different level. There are thousands and thousands of websites, some of them really great information, that preach long-term odds. There are millions of videos on it telling you how to do it. Look, casinos, we say play Baccarat. Casinos tell you about the 90% give back rate, but they forget to tell you, or they don't promote the 10% hold rate. In Baccarat, it's a lot less than that, 2.5%. The hold rate on a slot machine is 10%. You concentrate on the 90% give back, don't you? Why would you ever play something like that? If you play mindless Baccarat, you're playing at a 2.5% disadvantage just about, assuming you bet about 50% of the bets on banker and 50% of the player. What intrigues you is the 90% give back on slots. Anyway, that's a 10% disadvantage. Well, to close up, look, over a very large population, I mean a big sample of hands, the 1.24 banker bias becomes statistically obvious, and the related patterns, 4, 5 streaks, opposites, or repeats, all emerge clearly in the shoes as determined by long-term math. We do not need a sample that large to find an obvious bias because it's inherent in the game because of the rules, but it manifests itself in a short term, a high percentage of the game. That's what we've set down to. And our players play all over the world, from doctors to lawyers to CEOs to Indians chiefs. We got them all. If you want to talk to them, come on over and join our club. That is why so many of our players still track banker versus player, opposite versus repeats, confirm one in a rows, doubles, naturals, hit cards behavior. Look at all the professional players that play in our forum. And yes, there can be a professional Baccarat player. Look, way too fast, of course. Catch us one, Mick Vince. All these great players from yesteryear and some of the new players, GB09 from Australia, Andre from Australia, they're all still there. They've been there for years, man. They're great players. Look, inherent bias in the rules, it appears in the long term. That's why, though, it's more profound in the short term. It's variance. The variance is bigger when there's a bias. The bias is the hit rules. It's not 50-50. The hit rules that skew it so slightly. In roulette, if you take the zeros out, it's 50-50. The ribs on all the slots are the same. The ball has no greater chance to drop in red or black. They make their money on the VIG. In Baccarat, you can overcome the VIG by finding the bias. It's inherent in the game. Don't let anyone tell you there is no such thing as a professional Baccarat player. Come meet them on our private forum at Beat the Casino. Talk to Kevin. Talk to me. Kevin will even meet you in Vegas and take you out for dinner. Well, no, breakfast, I guess. Come to one of our seminars, watch our videos. It'll be the best time you've ever had. We all get to know each other. You don't like it? Just get out and leave. You know, it's real simple. We'd love to have you, love to hear your experiences. And, you know, if you're a long-term odds player and think that, again, what do you play for? Come on over and take a look at the game from a different perspective. Hey, this is Keith from Beat the Casino. I hope you enjoy our videos and our conversations from all of us. We do have a lot of fun doing it, and we do get to meet a lot of great people, and we do play all over the world. So come play with us. We'll be happy to meet you sometime. Take care.